Yeah. So hello everyone. In this video, we will be discussing a library system, which I've developed. Basically, I've developed the backend part of it. So yeah, let's just start right off the hook. So just give me a second. So the first thing we are basically importing some packages, and the first thing we are doing is configuring our environmental file, which is present here, but I can show you. And then we are connecting our database, basically going to our config folder and basically um, connecting our MongoDB database through here by this line. Okay, and then moving on, starting the app, uh, assigning the port, and then I am using three middlewares in this app. The first thing is express.json. This would help me, like this works as a body parser, so we can pass JSON as request and response. The second we are using is Morgan dependency. Morgan basically lets us see which APIs are getting called. And the third middleware we are using is basically rate limit middleware. So let me show you the code of it. So the rate limit middleware basically takes the client IP and tries to limit how many requests that client can make. So like here I have assigned that a client can make 10 requests in 60 into 1000 milliseconds. So basically 60 seconds, that is 1 minute. So once the client IP makes more than this request, so it would show rate limit exceeded. And here we are just incrementing the what we say the requests by the client, and after a minute we are just basically assigning it again to 0. And here we have developed an object for basically calling this. And now moving to the next thing, basically I have assigned three routes for it. One is the auth route, in which we are mostly going to check login and register functionality. The next is the books route, and in the books route basically we can say getting all books, adding new books to a library, or getting a book by its ID. This all functionality is present in the books route. And in the users route, basically borrowing a book, or what we say returning a book, or basically checking which users how many books a user has bought and which are those. So these are the three routes, and this is just basically listening and getting the functionality. Now let's move to the auth functionality first of all. So I would go to my routes. Where's my routes? Here's my routes. I will go to my auth route. So here I'm just importing. There are three functions: post, and get. Register takes a post request. Login takes a post request. I'm not using the test controller. This is just for test. So yeah, let me just comment this out. Okay. So yeah, I was just using this to check if my required sign works or not. So yeah, just let me tell you what required sign does. So where's my required sign would be in my middlewares. So in the auth middleware, yeah, here is require sign in, and basically in this we are using JSON web token to verify like if my users is login or not. So yeah, here is the logic for this, and I am passing user ID into the function. So yeah, so this is the auth route. There are two requests in this. One is register, another one is login. Yeah, so then this is calling register controller function. So if I go to my auth controller, yeah, so in this I am taking name, email, password from request.body, performing some basic validations since that all are present or not. And then I am checking like if there is any email already registered with the same, if there is any user registered with the same email. So I would say user is already registered, please log in. And if there's not an email present in our database, we can let the user perform the registration function. So yeah, here first of all we are going to hash our password using bcrypt. I think, just give me a second. Yeah, First, this is the helper function. Let me just show you that also. Yeah. So hash password basically, this is how we basically hash a data. We pass in password, and after performing some functions, it returns us a hash password. So yeah, that's happening here. Just a second. There was a hiccup. Just let me go from here. Auth controller. So yeah, after this, it would return me a hash password, and yeah, and then I would basically in the user I would just add uh, name, email, and this hash password instead of this direct password for better authentication. And then yeah, just register the user. If there is any issues, just try catch block I am using here. And then moving on to the login functionality, this one basically I am taking an email and password, performing basic validations if they're present or not, and checking user if there is any email present with the same email in my database or not. And if an email is present, I would just is it recording or not? It's recording, but I have to. Yeah, sorry, I had to pause for a minute. Yeah, so yeah, while logging in, we are checking if this email is present in our database or not. If this email is not present, we would just say email is not registered. And if the email is present, I would just use the compare password function, and I would pass it two arguments, password, which I am getting from here, and user dot password, which I am getting. Let me check user dot password from here, the one registered with the email. But this is a hash password, so we are again going to use a helper function. Just let me play this. So basically, we are comparing this with Bcrypt. Okay. So back again. So basically, this would tell me if it's there or not. If so, it would assign a true or false value. So if that doesn't match, so we can say it's an invalid password. And if it matches, so we would go here. I would just tokenize the user. So basically, I am this is the syntax I'm using for tokenization, and I am basically expiring a time I am taking 7 days. Okay, so here the JW secret is present in my .env file. You can take whatever you like and just assign it in your .env file. So yeah, this is how we are logging in, and we're displaying the token. Okay, yeah, this is the complete user login and register functionality. Now we are moving to the book routes. So for the book routes, the first one is get all books. The second is add book, add a particular book basically, not books. Just let me change this for the book. Then get a book by ID. If I pass an ID, that would tell me a description of the book, and basically update the book by ID. Let's say I have to change the author name, so I can do this by here, and then delete book. I am a little confused if I should add like admin functionality here, that can only admin can delete and post a book, but for now I am just keeping it like that. Okay, so this is done, book route. So uh, then I would go to a book controller. So first of all, get books controller is getting called. So where is my book? Just let me go. So okay, get book controller basically just finds all the books and just returns all the books. Nothing in that. And then the second is post book. So basically adding a book. So here we are adding a book. So we are taking title, author, genre, publication date, and availability status from the request.body. Basically whatever the user passes. So and then just create a new basically object in our book model, which would contain all these fields, and yeah, just pass in if they are added successfully. Okay, just this much. Then the next would be update a book. This took me a lot of time, like I don't know why. Sorry. Okay, sorry, I think first it's get book by ID. Okay, so get book by ID is basically, first of all, we are taking book ID from the parameters. Basically, since it's a get request, we are taking ID as a parameter. So and then we are finding which books that book ID is associated to, find by doing find by ID. And if the book is not present, we can say that the book with the specified ID not found. Okay, yeah. And if it's found, yeah, just I am sending the book. After if it's present, I am just sending the book, returning the book. Okay, now the next thing which took a lot of my time is update book by ID. So just let me remove this functionality. I think it's not required right now. Yeah. Um, so here we are again taking book ID from the parameters, and the updated data is from the request.body. So let's say I pass in, let's say the author name I have to change. So I can just pass the author, and basically here I am passing the book ID which I have to update. The updated data would take, and the new equal to means the new data would overtake the, basically override the old data. Okay, so uh, I am updating the data of the book here. So let's say the old title is something, and I am just passing the author. The title would remain the same, but the author would be replaced from this request.body. Okay, and we would first check if book is found or not. Here we are just placing a basic check, and if it's found, we can just return a book. Here we have done the updation and just written the book here. Okay, this is done. Now the last is delete book by its ID. So it's 12 minutes. Okay, delete book by ID. Here we are again taking the book ID from the parameters, and here I'm also verifying. Like I can also do this everywhere else, but just for the sake of time, just like checking if it's a valid object or not. And basically, I am finding this by this book ID and removing it from the database. Or and if I am checking if if the deleted book was there or not. If it was there, if it was not there, I can say book not found, and if it was there, I can say book deleted successfully. Okay. Now other than that, yeah, this all done. Now moving on to the user routes. So just it would give me a 2 minutes. Where are the user routes here? So basically there are three functionalities in this. First is borrowing a book, second is returning a book, and the third is basically what book, all books is borrowed by a user. So here in the borrow book we have to pass two things, two parameters, basically user ID and book ID. Okay, so where's the, let me go to my user controller. Yeah, so borrowing the book functionality is here. Here I am using that helper function which I have discussed earlier. This not this one, sorry, middleware function. Yeah, auth middleware and require sign. So I think I let me book. Sorry, where's my user controller? Just user out. Sorry. So yeah, here you can see I'm checking require sign in. So if once I use this functionality, only signed in user would be able to send request like this. Okay. So yeah, and after that, that middleware function gives me a user ID. Okay, so I am checking if this the parameters user ID is equal to the user ID provided by the middleware. If this both are equal, then only I can perform the function. Else, we can just say that the different user is signed in, cause the parameter user ID and the user ID by the middleware doesn't match. Okay, so then I am also passing book ID, and then I am checking uh, basically which book. Just I am just checking if this book is available on my database or not. Here I have checked, and I am checking if this book is already borrowed, I can't borrow that book again. So yeah, then so I think I do have to change this. I just want to store my ID, but for the testing purpose I have done title here. Okay, so I would just make a object of my borrowed book, and I would just push this borrowed book inside my user. So basically the schema, I have not disclosed the schema yet. Just give me a second. I would say show the schema. So the book schema just say five things: title, author, genre, publication date, and availability status. Okay, and the availability status can only be available or borrowed. Okay, and the user model is a little different. Basically name, email, password, this was highly disclosed. but also we are taking an array of books. So that array would contain a book ID and title. I have to remove the title, but yeah, that array would contain a book ID. So let's say user borrows two books. So it would have two elements in that array, and that would be the book IDs of two books. Okay. So yeah, where were you? Book controller. No, but we are at user controller. Okay. Yeah. So we are pushing that book to our like in the user sorry. So we are pushing that this object inside our array, and then saving that, and then changing the status of book to borrowed, and then saving that book also. Okay. Yeah, this is the complete borrow functionality, and then moving to the returning functionality. So same here again, we are passing the I think the entire logic is the same as the above one. Here we are just checking if like book is available. So somebody can't return a book if it's already present in our library. That means nobody has borrowed that book earlier. So yeah, we are also checking that functionality, and then here we are checking if users have that basically do user have that book in their array. So in this array, I am checking if the user has the ID which is passed in the parameters. Okay, so here I am checking that, and if the book ID is not found here, I can just say that the book is never borrowed by that user, and basically here I am returning, and then I am moving to the next thing. If this is not there, then I would just and remove that index from the array and just save the user, and change the availability status of book to available, and also save the book. Okay, this is the returning functionality. Then the last thing is getting all books issued by user. So this in here basically we are getting user ID from the parameters, and okay, getting the user ID from the parameters and checking basically finding the user by the user ID. And if user is not found, you can just say user not found. Then first of all, I am checking what all book IDs is basically borrowed by the user. Here all the IDs would be stored by the mapping functionality, and then I would just run a query in MongoDB, just checking basically for each ID, just give me the complete book object. So here I am just returning all the borrowed books. Okay, yeah, I think, and then this is all the functionalities. So let me just tell you all the functionalities here I have made. So just let me get the roots. Yes, root. Yeah. So the functionality are basically register and login functionality. Okay, and these are two. Then getting all books present in the library. Then adding a book functionality. Then getting books by ID functionality. And then updating book by ID. Here we have to pass what things to update in the data body, sorry, and then deleting book by ID. This is basically 5 and 2, the 7, right, 7 routes. And then basically here we are using three functionalities: borrowing a book. Here we have to pass user ID and book ID. Returning a book, same user ID, book ID, and then getting all books borrowed by a specific user. Okay, so these are basically 7 and then 10. So total 10 functionalities I have developed. I can also change, like basically I have already disclosed that I can't post a book if I am not admin. I was thinking to attach functionality, and same with the delete books. At this moment, anybody can delete a book. I can either try to keep it as required sign in, or I can also add as admin functionality. But yeah, for now, let's keep it like that. Okay, yeah. I think that's it for my code. Is there anything else I forgot to mention? No, this is just the basic boilerplate. Yeah, I think yeah, this is the complete you can say my backend application which I've developed for library system. So yeah, that's it from my side. It's already a 20-minute video. Just let me publish it. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye bye.